Final note here, it was rumored this past week, reported by PW Insider, that Cruiserweight Tag Team titles could be on the way after WrestleMania 34. And we got one step closer to that on the show this week with Akira Tozawa and Hideo Itami forming an alliance at the behest of GM Drake Maverick, taking on two local athletes and winning. A fun little showcase for them. But I like the idea of an Akira Tozawa Hideo Itami tag team. I think they work well together. I would love if Akira and Apollo Crews were put together as a tag team. They were at one point when they were both part of Titus Worldwide. It went nowhere, and Akira was soon dropped from the group for whatever reason. But this is a nice consolation prize. So that might be them planting the seeds for the division. And I'm not completely against it. I think less is more with the titles. There's like 10 titles currently in the company between, let's count right now. It's going to take me two hands, but let's see. Universal Championship, that's 1. 2, the WWE title. 3, the United States Championship. 4, the Intercontinental Championship. 5, the Raw Women's title. 6, the SmackDown Women's title. 7, the Raw Tag Team titles. 8, the SmackDown Tag Team titles. 9, the Cruiserweight Championship. 10, the United Kingdom title. And possibly 11 with the Cruiserweight Tag Team titles. That is ridiculous. And that's not even counting the champions in NXT currently. So, again, but they don't really have enough people to make that happen currently between those that left and those that are hurt. So I don't even know how it would work with like 10 people on the roster. But they can maybe find a way to make it work. So we have, let's see, we have an Akira Tozawa and Hideo tag team. I keep on saying Hideo tag team. Hideo Itami tag team. It's a tongue twister. So we have that currently. We also have Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher. If they don't scrap that by the time Kendrick is back, that could be a nice tag team, again, because they worked well together before Kendrick got hurt. So you have that. The obvious selection of the Lucha House Party with Kalisto, Gran Metalik, and Lince Dorado. So you have that as well. That's 3 tag teams right there. I guess you can go back to Gulak and Tony Nese. I think Gulak will be doing his own thing coming out of WrestleMania. They already faced off in the tournament. I mean, that you could still put them back together, but I would keep them apart. I guess you could do Tony Nese and like Noam Dar when he's clear to compete again. I don't know when he's going to be good to go, but you have that. Maybe Roddy and Cedric if Cedric doesn't win the championship. I mean, they have a couple different options, but it could get old real fast if they don't add in more people to this division. You have Buddy Murphy. I don't think Wesley Blake is 205. If he was, you can reunite those two on the show. I wouldn't do that anyway. I think Buddy Murphy is way better off on his own. The guy died a death in NXT with Wesley Blake as his tag team partner, and then he was, completely fell off the face of the earth when he was put on his own when they broke up in 2016. But that's another option too. They want to call up Ricochet. They have Leo Rush in NXT, who's not really doing anything right now, so they can call him up. Johnny Gargano is, I think, earmarked for a main roster call-up at some point. So I could see him getting the call-up soon after WrestleMania. I know he got fired from NXT following the loss to Andrade Cien Almas. About 2 weeks ago at this point, I think it was. Awesome match, by the way. So you have that. So that, to me, could mean that him and Tommaso face off in New Orleans. And then, it's an unsanctioned match. So Gargano is not a member of the roster. But he wants one more match before he leaves with Ciampa. Whether he wins or loses, he's main roster bound no matter what. And he goes to 205 Live. Now, in the past, I'd be very against that. Like, why would you put this guy on 205 Live? He's one of the best baby faces in the world today. Why would you do that? Well, if it is indeed under the new management of Triple H, I trust the game. I trust Based H to use this guy properly, as opposed to Raw or SmackDown. God forbid if the guy goes to the Blue brand. He'd be buried as quickly as Mike Kanellis was. So I would hope that's not the case. So maybe we see Gargano join the roster, and he forms a tag team with Leo Rush. But I would put him on his own. I think if I could see Cedric Alexander, I think Cedric Alexander should win the championship. If it's not Roderick Strong, it should be Cedric Alexander. But if it's Drew Gulak, maybe you have Neville come back, which is I talked about last week, which would be great. And you could have Neville and Drew Gulak in a feud, or Cedric Alexander and Neville, the heel Neville, versus Cedric Alexander as a babyface would be an awesome feud. That would be unreal, because the matches would be great. They had one match on 205 Live a little over a year ago, and it was great. So it would be awesome to see them clash. at some point coming out of WrestleMania. I'm not saying it will happen, but it would be just pure fantasy booking here. But yeah, going back to what I was saying before, I guess you could have Gargano and Drew Gulak for the title. There's a lot of different options there. They have a plethora of talent. I don't know if a tag team title is necessary right. It's definitely not necessary. But if they want to make the division more interesting, they got to add more people. They definitely have to have more people in order to make that tag team work. Maybe they put I would definitely see the Bollywood boys, the Singh brothers, going to 205 Live, which they were originally. That was before they got over with Jinder, though. They can go to 205 Live, become champions over there, and split away from Jinder. Although they do add more to Jinder's act, and they're more interesting. I mean, they're more interesting than Jinder is, but it would kind of suck for Jinder if they got taken away from him. Although one of them is currently hurt anyway. One of them has been hurt for a few weeks now. But you have them. I don't know if there's any tag teams in NXT that would work. Maybe Oney Larkin and Danny Burch. They could call them up for a 205 Live tag team. So they have options. If they want to make this work, they can make it work. I'm still a little skeptical, but I thought it was an interesting idea nonetheless.